In the hundreds of rallies that I have done, we have never, ever had a rally.
Of a brief pause to do a sanity check on foreign aid funding. No one, end quote. New York Times opinion columnist and Pulitzer Prize winner Nicholas Kristof traveled to a country where that's exactly what's happening. He went to South Sudan, where some 9 million people require humanitarian assistance, according to the International Rescue Committee. The pictures you're about to see were taken by Kristof during his trip. A warning, some of them are difficult to watch. Kristof spoke to volunteers, clinic workers, women and children alike, people who relied on the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, for basic medicine or disease treatment. People who are feeling the consequences of Musk and President Trump's gutting of the agency. Kristof writes of Peter Donde, a 10-year-old infected with HIV, quote, American aid kept Peter strong even as his parents died from AIDS. A program started by President George W. Bush called PEPFAR saved 26 million lives from AIDS, and one of them was Peter's. Under PEPFAR, an outreach health worker ensured that Peter and other AIDS orphans got their medications. Then in January, Trump and Musk effectively shuttered the U.S. Agency for International Development, perhaps illegally, and that PEPFAR outreach program ended. Without the help of community health workers, Peter was unable to get his medicines, so he became sick, and he died in late February. 5-year-old Evan, pictured here, and his 35-year-old single mother, Jennifer, relied on HIV treatments provided by USAID. Last month, when aid went dry, Jennifer got sick and died. A week later, her son, pictured here, was also dead. Unfortunately, these stories are abundant in South Sudan. Kristof writes, quote, 2 women, Martha Juan, 25, and Viola Kidden, 28, a mother of 3, have already died because they lived in a remote area of South Sudan and could not get antiretroviral drugs when USAID shut down the supply lines, according to Angelina Doki, a health volunteer who supported them, end quote. And Angelina Doki herself is not safe. She told Kristof her own supply of medicine is about to run out. Quote, I'm going to develop the virus, Doki said. My viral load will go too high. I will develop TB. I will have pneumonia, end quote. She sighed deeply and added, we are going to die. They won't be the only ones. Kristof worked with the Center for Global Development to calculate how many lives are at risk if American humanitarian assistance is frozen or slashed. Within just a year, 1.6 million people could die without American foreign aid for HIV prevention and treatment. Columnist at the New York Times, he's the author of the book Chasing Hope, A Reporter's Life. Nicholas recently got back from a trip to South Sudan. He filed this remarkable piece for the New York Times titled, Musk said no one has died since aid was cut. That isn't true. Nick, this is important because it's such a stark article that column that you've posted, which is a standout for you because you go to all the worst places in the world. So I want to read a little bit about what you found in South Sudan. You visited a USAID-funded maternity clinic, which opened in December. You met a woman who was 8 months pregnant. I want to read from your article. Abuk Makak, 18, 8 months pregnant with her first child, told me she is thrilled that when the time comes, she will be able to deliver in a clinic assisted by a trained midwife. When people delivered at home, babies died and some mothers died, she said. So I want to deliver here with the midwife. Makak did not realize that unless her baby arrives early, that will not be possible. The Trump administration has abruptly cut funding, $377 million for the UN Population Fund. As a result, the clinic is now scheduled to close this month, along with many Population Fund programs around the world, end quote. Nick, this is a big deal. This is not a one local place closing. This is the place that a woman who can give birth at is likely to perhaps survive that childbirth herself, and her child is likely to survive. Now both are in danger.
Visiting that clinic was kind of shattering for me because people were so grateful the fact that the U.S. had started that clinic, that women didn't have to die anymore. And you know, there was a woman in labor when I arrived, and she wanted to name her baby after me because she saw me as an emblem of this American generosity that was saving her life. The village elders showed up, and they just wanted to thank America because women didn't have to die in this area anymore. And they didn't realize that right at that moment, the clinic was preparing to close because in Washington, Elon Musk decided it was unnecessary. And, multiply that by thousands of projects all across that country, or multiply by, hundreds of thousands of projects around the world, and you get more women dying in childbirth, more children dying of disease, more children starving to death.
In fact, this entire DOGE effort is based on cutting, quote, waste, fraud, and abuse. You argue, as many people, anybody who's probably read more than a pamphlet on USAID, understands that USAID funding, you actually call it a miracle. You write, in this century, we are all blessed with miraculous, almost biblical powers. We can heal the sick and save children's lives, all inexpensively. America spends just 0.24% of gross national income on humanitarian aid. We properly honor a firefighter who saves a single child, but 3 cheers for us as taxpayers for rescuing millions of children around the world from AIDS, starvation, and disease. You actually told me last night that the cost of AIDS prevention in Africa is, would you say 17 cents or something?
It's a hair under 12 cents a day per person. So those photos you showed earlier, this little 5-year-old boy, Evan, who died, he died for want of 12 cents a day. And, the waste, fraud, and abuse stuff. I mean, look, I do believe that USAID could be reformed. I think that there are ways the money could be spent more effectively. Less money going to these Beltway bandit companies in Washington, more money going to the field. But what we've seen is not healthy reform. It's just a demolition in ways that are killing kids already.
And killing soft power, which is another important point, right? These kids, that woman who wanted to name her baby, her newborn, after you, the appreciation they extended to you as an American, that's important, valuable stuff in troubled parts of the world with bad governance and bad actors and outside actors and sometimes failed governments. We give money to some of those, to these clinics in some of those countries. In large part, it gives us a certain stability and an affinity with the people who live there.
That's right. I mean, our values are at stake, but so are our interests. And when John F. Kennedy created USAID in 1961, he did so in part to advance American interests around the world. We confront China with aircraft carriers, but also with USAID projects. And it's not just soft power, although I agree that that's a major element, but it's also defense against health threats. I mean, coming out of a pandemic, we should understand that, it's a lot easier to fight Ebola or TB or some new novel avian flu in other countries rather than at home.
Nicholas, thank you for this important piece. We appreciate it. As always, Nicholas Kristof is a Pulitzer Prize winning columnist for the New York Times. He's the author of the important book, Chasing Hope.